No, New York Times, what Trump is doing is not playing budgetary twister to get ICE paid. And in fact, that's a Russell Vogt quote, which should have been your first clue. This is infuriating because what you're doing is actually legitimizing this idea that they're actually just being clever about moving funds around. No, what they are doing is blatantly illegal. And I would love for this journalist to actually read the bill, or at least the section he is quoting from. Because if he did, he would notice that the funds he's talking about as being moved around are explicitly appropriated for fiscal year of 2025. They're available for 2029 for reimbursement of costs in 2025. We are now in fiscal year 2026 as of October 1st. And now, if this doesn't make sense, I made a whole video explaining this in detail with a whiteboard just a few videos back. Is ICE getting funded? When people keep asserting that they in fact will be, all I keep saying is if they are, it will be done illegally. And this is what we need journalists at places like the New York Times calling out. How the hell am I calling this out and not you? Ironically, I filmed a video about this exact thing last week on Friday or Thursday, and I didn't have time to edit it, so I didn't post it. There's a much bigger story unfolding right now than what is being acknowledged by anyone, and we need the media pushing on this. And that is the question of whether or not ICE is getting paid during the shutdown. Because as far as I could find in any legislation, there is no way for them to legally be doing that. If you have found a way that they would be doing it, please show me. I would love to see. But no one was pushing back on these claims that they were finding the money, moving the money. And the reason I was saying that journalists and the media have to be pushing back much harder on this is because Dems can't. They cannot be seen angry about federal workers getting paid, even if those federal workers are specifically ICE. And the problem is this sets a precedent. It completely goes against our Constitution and the separation of powers. It completely destroys the idea that Congress holds the power of the purse. They're doing it with this issue specifically because they know that Dems cannot call it out. So why are people at the New York Times normalizing this idea that it's just budgetary twister, being clever about budgeting? That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. It has a name: crime. An executive that can ignore the Constitution and spend money without congressional approval is a president that can declare war without congressional approval. By the way, you could be pointing out that they're willing to not just violate the Constitution on this, but they're doing so to pay ICE officers instead of, funding SNAP. Kristi Noem is getting a couple of planes with illegally misappropriated funds, but feeding Americans? No, that's just one step too far. I don't understand why you guys aren't prepared to actually question things more. That is your entire job.